Excuse me a second. I have I have some issues regarding the SMLs that I would like to speak on. This has to do with your mindset. Coming here as operators, speaking to me with your double intentions, right? Firstly, it's what? Whether it's your relationship with me, knowing me, however much information you have, and what is correct or not in terms of you acquiring information or interactions with people, such as other dimensions of me, and then coming here with your personal endeavors with me, whatever that is. On top of that, you got the people surrounding you in your group, which brought you here even, telling you what to do in order to continue your interaction with me. That's their leverage on you, right? And then if our interactions at that time were positive, continuing on there with your interactions with me involve attacks along the way. And what do I see? You're attacking me physically while trying to continue a conversation with me as a friend, an acquaintance, a love interest through a portal, right? And what are you doing at the same time? Along that line of interaction, you eventually lose, as the target, your concern for the other person you're speaking to, because they're breaking down your body while trying to get things out of the situation with you at the same time. I don't appreciate that. Of course, you wouldn't think so, even for your own situation as such. But what am I trying to get at? I'm hearing things from your compatriots, such as he's impeding on my only way I know how to live by breathing and doing squats and turning down his music and balancing. What are you saying to me? Okay, you wouldn't say that to me, and why would that be? I also look at my surroundings right now, and people are not being front side confrontational. That has changed because passes usually involve on level 2 verbal attacks. They're not doing that now. I think my most recent posts have changed people's perspective on me and the way they treat me as influxers. A positive thing, truly, but diplomacy, if you are from a league nation and you are a resident of that planet, you consider your activities coming here. Of course, essentially, you understand that you are not supposed to be doing that. But we consider here, when it comes to the process of formalization and there being influxers, we are already believing here on our planet, I think, until the end of formalization, it is only your dynamic that changes as SMLs and your activities and how you treat us. So in that sense, I mean, in concerns with other residents that are your targets, how they carry themselves, yes, but our collective perspective, right, on the situation here on our planet in dealings with, leading to what? Since thank you. Since there is this positive progress of the interaction going on between us, it means that there is more understanding. of our situation on our planet, maybe your own coming as influxers, and what else? Well, the fact that you're attacking us and this is your way of getting what you want there. You know, you're conducting such activities while we are conducting activities that entail normal life. And you're looking at us like he's impeding on my way of life. Can you turn that around to make sense? Because from my position, what would I be saying? The same thing. True. Impeding. You say that I am impeding on your life. How is that so? Because this is the only way you know how to live? If you're still saying that, beyond data point, beyond, or it would be before, if you're thinking positive progression, it'd be before you came to realizations that you shouldn't be doing such things. And then your addictions lead you to the same old habits. Albeit, there is this great reduction of influxers. In reduction? That's not the term. You know the term. There are a lot less influxers since maybe this afternoon. And activity, meaning what? More of it is walled and watching us and affecting our situation in the back with ideas such as influence peddling. What does that term mean? You give the ideas in the back, walled, to other people in the configuration towards the target, and things end up progressing positively for them, is what I'm seeing. If this holds, it means our dynamic is changing towards a more agreeable situation for our lives in order to be more productive, have less attacks, and maybe we can conduct more diplomatic in terms of interaction when it comes to residents on our planet and influxers. You see how the term is going to influxers versus invaders? You get more aggressive and confrontational. You look like invaders, especially verbally, with your intent. If you come here under the guise of a normal looking resident walking around and not being verbal towards someone in public, as in like walking around a wonderland of like people verbally attacking you and it being continuous in terms of its train of thought with every person you run into while walking down a street, it's not happening. People driving around and then not saying anything, but still shooting frequencies through you while they pass you by and look at you are still attacks. In that sense, it goes back to the term and the perspective of looking at an invader. Those who would be so are still yachting. You know, this term yachting kind of breaks down it changes your perspective on your activities to look like you're vacationing, having a good time, sounding like you're using your like 401k or your saved investments in order to have vacation. Although if you show up on our planet, it means that you broke your lock and you no longer have accounts, right? You're rocking some other type of accounts and hands in order to get things done in place of money. The suggestion to go back to using money and accounts would entail acquiring your continuity through reestablishing your BPC security. Our activities on our planet as residents lead into, by example of our actions, influencing positively other residents of other planets for them to want to do the same thing for themselves. At this point, these groups of planets which came here since last year with their, of course, it's the same activities. Uh, Out of that, emerging positives who wanted to acquire continuity, and go back to work, right? Uh, Having their data passed on to a different group in order to find a more positive group in which they can reestablish themselves. This group does not involve league, right? It kind of did for the games like in Notria and what other game was there. But what did they eventually accomplish? Nothing. They were just residents using the reputation and the positivity of that game in order to further their own efforts in entailing criminal activities and invading activities and keeping us oppressed in our PML objectives and sending them out on cruises and trips in order to avoid the objectives. Now that it is league, people have the understanding and belief that people who are of planets of leagues have more universal logic concepts, life concepts that they adhere, uh, have cultures of having more importance and move on such activities in a positive fashion when they are engaged and motivated, right? Those are the concepts and the words that they identify as part of their culture. When it's league, it's no longer this, oh my gosh, trying to find out of these people that are like escaping negative groups and like passing their data around. Good leaders are hard to come by. You go league. You have more of a serious sentiment towards government and it operating properly when you do. As MLN going 10 leagues, your participation in our planet's culture as an emerging actual facet of our society, one of 10, maintaining it throughout our planet's progression, past formalization, to the point where your technology, your armaments, your attire, our residents are reflecting as part of its culture. These concepts, right? They may want to bring you back to thinking of the same thing for yourselves because, in terms of MLN, what else would there be conceptually? I think people have to think about that more and acquire more information, lose negative concepts about it or about trying to maintain a one league nation and accumulate in number. We all know the reasons why people aren't doing it anymore, don't we? It's MLN. I don't know what else you would be doing there except continuing, re-establishing an oligarchy which exists in terms of that league nation's history, and furthering the negative effects of it that we've seen until now throughout history. Do you find anything in terms of MLN that, in actuality, is detrimental to a planet? There's nothing about it. I mean, it emerged because of the need to remove the negative effects of one league nation nations with accumulated large numbers of planets in the tens of thousands. What does that do, right? We all know this stuff. It's getting back on track with these ideas because these are it's society. And do you want to further your identity and your group, the people you run with, your residents? Do you want to continue in that fashion while we do this? What else is there? Aside from cognitive dissonance and trying to tell us that we are impeding on your own life because we are trying to live our own. We are not going out there, traveling out and trying to impede on other people's situations. You consider that there are negatives on your planet. I mean, those who do not want to reacquire their security will end up doing that. If you're concerned about the composite of your residents not being able to come to our planet and conduct such activities, would be entailing what? Them focusing on their own lives and having concern for their own planet and conducting activities conducive towards its positivity and state of being. Are you concerned about the overall situation of your planet, its residents, and what it is doing? Or is it this like infinite looping split data everywhere in terms of your residents, just creating degradation and attacking residents of other planets? When you get back into these ideas, when you get into these ideas and you realize what you are doing, does it not make you wake up and smell the coffee? Thank you. I think that's a good point. Regular life includes all of the positive aspects of it. If you've forgotten these and are thinking of positivity as your desires, your pleasures, without balance, including what you need to even those out, such as what? Just like keeping up your physical condition to remove the pain that they're adding to you. It would include your finances, your well-being of your children, your assets, maintaining them, and them being your own assets only, not living off of other people's property for a maximum of a couple of minutes, including their room in a construct. How does that make you feel doing that? You get to thinking about these things more so in terms of regular thinking and regular life and etiquette. No, like concern for like those around you in terms of like who you deal with, and not like always hell bent on what your own desires and ruining their lives and trying to say that they are impeding on yours at the same time. What are you doing there? That's my point.